Hello, my cozy consumers. Welcome back to another art video. My name is Danny. I work under my business name, Studio Dodge, and I have another project here for you to witness in a super sped up fashion. So yeah, sit back with your coffee or tea and enjoy the art time lapse. As you can see already by the grid, this is already resembling a calendar. This project is specifically for everyone over on Patreon. If you follow me there for free, you can have access to this printable monthly calendar that I've been releasing this year. You can share them with your friends, obviously, but if you were to direct them to my Patreon instead to grab the download, that would be so well appreciated. What I've been doing for this project is back in November of last year, I gathered my inspiration, lots of plants and flowers and the font style that I liked and lots of hand reference photos. And then I chose 12 quotes that I wanted to feature. So what each month has is a flower or plant, hands, and then a quote at the bottom. So if I were super duper smart, I would have created all 12 months for you to grab at any time. But I felt like pacing myself and creating the final artworks one at a time. But I am already liking this project so much that I might do something similar in 2026, but I would do it all together and release it as a digital download product on my shop instead. But, baby steps, I'm thinking ahead and out loud at the same time. So while I'm working on the March calendar here, you saw that I got my sketches in there. That was the really quick gray lines, and then now I'm putting in the final lines here. And yeah, you can just, this is more real time. This is only like 200% sped up, so you can kind of see that I don't actually work at 1,000 seconds a minute. But the common threads on all of the months is that the plants that I chose, like, it would have been very easy to pick like birth month flowers for each month of the year, but I thought that was probably overdone and I wanted to do something different. I probably should have turned my phone off. I wonder if you can hear that. Oh well, it's off now. But yeah, I thought that doing different plants instead of birth month plants was going to be smarter, but I needed to figure out what was going to drive which plants I chose. And so for particularly January, February, and March, it was difficult to decide what flowers to do because it's like winter months. And so I had to kind of strategically pick things that are available or can be found in wintertime. So I tried to do that without, for some reason, I just don't want to be super obvious. So I didn't want to do crocuses, which are a very winter, they seem to pop up at the silliest times in the middle of winter, but I chose different plants instead. For the month of January, I drew carnations since they can sometimes bloom in winter. And the quote at the bottom of the January calendar says, "You can still know peace without knowing what comes next." And that's from Morgan Harper Nichols. If any of you follow her online, she's got really, really cool stuff. She's an artist and she does lots of writing as well. I think that's awesome. The month of February didn't feature a flower. It featured decorative cabbages, which also bloom in winter. So maybe in a greenhouse. I don't know. I don't know the details. But I was looking for things that can produce in winter, and cabbages were one of them. So I picked these foofy decorative cabbages, kind of like the purple and green, very frilly leaves. And the quote on the February calendar is actually a book title, but it reads, "No one belongs here more than you." And that's a book by one of my favorite living artists, Miranda July. And then, as you can see very obviously, March here is featuring daffodils, and those are, they're kind of a harbinger of spring, which is kind of like March is the month where you're just chomping at the bit for spring to start happening. And I could use I'm pretty desperate for spring right now, so it's very relatable. And the quote I chose for March, I haven't gotten to it yet in this video, but it reads, "Last year I abstained, this year I devour." And that's from Margaret Atwood. In a way, it's kind of assertive, which is why I drew the hand the way that it looks. I, like, for some reason, like, in the middle of winter, you're kind of desperately grabbing for spring, and I've been, I think it's kind of encouraging. It's a little bit strange because it's obviously not super gentle the way that I drew the hand, but with the way that the quote is kind of assertive, I thought that those matched pretty well together. But in a way, I think that this is also encouraging this idea of devouring. As one of my methods of therapy, I've been like trying to connect with my five senses a little more and a little more intentionally in order to get out of my head, out of the news cycle, out of doom scrolling, and practicing a little bit of self-care in the in-between moments when you don't really feel like you have a lot of time to take care of yourself. And I've been working extra hours at my day job, so art is, while I would love for it to be number one in my books, it's at number 3 at the moment because self-care and taking care of my dog have to be number 1. And unfortunately, the paid work has to be number 2, but don't let me wax on about that junk. Let's talk more about what's going on here. So this is the color. This is also very repetitive in terms of I'm doing these watercolor splotches on each of the month calendars. So you'll see that echoed in January and February, and then of course the rest of the year once I get to them. But this is where I am creating the layer where I'm blocking out all the white that I want to keep. And so instead of creating like a mask, I'm just painting it in by hand. But anyway, as I finish up here, I wanted to once again mention that these are available for free on Patreon to download and print at home. I like to use mine for appointments and just crossing off the days. If you like this piece, check the link below for my Patreon page. You can get the download there. And if you like the video, be sure to subscribe here on YouTube. And for notifications, you can hit the bell. And if you'd like to see more of my artwork or browse my shop items, you can go to studiododge.com. Thanks for coming along with me. Ciao for now.